this is a very common topic to talk about, especially in this field. I mean, it should be talked in any field, but in cybersecurity, from the first time I knew about, I mean, I have a yellow book over there on my shelf, which is the Cybersecurity Operator Handbook. It's something like that. It has like one-liners and comments. It has like 300 pages. Like one of the first pages is about a phone line for anti-suicide for cybersecurity professionals.
Right.
I didn't even know this was a thing, this existed. And until I started working on this and getting my hands dirty, and especially now producing content, I feel like imposter syndrome in this field is a very, very, very serious topic that we should talk about. What's your take on that?
Yeah. I think especially in this field, because there's so many different areas you can specialize in, it's very easy to feel like, oh, I don't know anything. Like
Yeah.
I've been doing this for, this amount of years, and I'm comparing myself to this guy who's been doing it for this amount of years.
Yeah.
And, he or she probably has, way more experience than me.
Yeah.
So I think it's very easy to like kind of compare yourself to people who are also in the field, who are more specialized than you.
Yeah.
But I think it's also important to realize that there is definitely a need for people who know a lot about a lot of different kind of like security domains.
Yeah.
So being kind of a generalist is also like very important.
For sure.
Because you get a good overview of like what the security landscape looks like. But yeah, I think especially when I first started, it was very overwhelming because there were people who work in technically the same like job that I do.
Yeah.
And I didn't know what they were talking about.
Yeah.
Or I would read job descriptions and it was like, well, I don't have this experience. I can't apply for this job.
Yeah.
Which isn't true. Job descriptions are usually written by HR, not the people actually hiring you.
That's true.
And of course, they're going to want, they're going to list all this extra stuff that you don't necessarily need. But I think what really helps me kind of get over that imposter syndrome is just if you look at it as, I'm just going to be learning for the next 10 to 15 years, I think it's much easier to kind of not compare yourself to, someone you see on Twitter or, someone you work with, because you're kind of you're still in that phase where you're getting experience, which is really helpful, at least for me. I know it probably won't work for everyone, but yeah.
Well, I don't know if you can see, but I have a piano right here. So I've studied music for a couple of years, and that's very common on music, on the music industry as well. You look at like a kid with 16 years old. He has been playing piano since like he was 3, and he's like a god. And you look at yourself and you're like, man, what the hell am I doing with my life? I'm never gonna be that good. Or it's very easy for you to compare yourself with others. But something that people used to say, specifically in that regard, was that in art you can't win. It's impossible to win, because art is not about winning. It's about expressing yourself. It's about personal growth. It's about learning. And I think that mindset should also be applied here to our field. In cybersecurity, it's impossible to win. You're here to learn. You're here to grow. You're here to like go through the journey one step at a time. And for me, in my experience, I didn't face any imposter syndrome when I started working on my full-time job, because I was very open with everyone. When I didn't know about any about a specific topic or about a specific tool or a methodology or anything like that, I would say and be very transparent and say, okay, I don't understand this. I don't have any experience with this. Can you please teach me? And I would do my part to learn it. But after I created the YouTube channel, man, I have like serious anxiety before I press that upload button. Like, let's just say I say anything that's wrong or anything like that's not correct or anything technically not the best, or I don't know. I'm really afraid that someday I'm going to make that mistake and somebody will say, oh, this guy is not legit, or this guy is a poser, or this guy is a fraud, and yeah, that really gets to me. I don't know if you get that with your blog or anything like that, but
Yeah.
it's a great exposure, right? You're exposing your face, your name, your personality, and it's very nerve wracking sometimes.
Yeah, yeah. I think I definitely get a lot of that. Not necessarily with, the weekly roundup that
Yeah,
I'm doing, because I'm not like presenting this as, this is like a finished product. I'm more presenting of, here's what I learned. But for
yeah,
like the few research-based blogs that I've done,
yeah,
I think there's definitely been that factor of like, am I getting this right? Like, did I overlook something? Is
yeah,
something like glaring that I just overlooked?
yeah.
I don't know, did I leak my IP address? Did I
Exactly,
do all these
exactly.
did I do all these different things that like, a more experienced person would, kind of look down on me for?
Yeah,
Um, but I think at the end of the day, it doesn't really matter. Like especially if you're, providing some useful information to someone,
yeah,
it doesn't matter if you know, you say the wrong thing or you
yeah,
mispronounce the name of some tool or whatever. Like it doesn't really matter.
yeah,
But it's also a very hard thing to kind of get
yeah.
over.
Well, I try to make fun of myself whenever I misspell something or I do anything wrong. Like the first comment of the video is me saying, "Oh, look what I did here. It's wrong." You know,
Right.
that's my personal way to deal with it because yeah, humor helps me to get through it. Um,
Yeah.
let me,
Sometimes on
yeah,
my
yeah, go go.
sometimes on my like security blog, I'll be researching something for like 3 hours one day,
Yeah,
and then the next day be like, "Oh yeah, it was just this simple command that like I mistyped. That's why it
yeah.
didn't work," or something super simple like that.
Yeah, I did a walkthrough of a room on TryHackMe, and one concern that I have, and I talked with Ben at TryHackMe. He is like the CEO or the co-founder or something like that, and he
Hmm.
told me, "Hey man, it's awesome that you're doing these walkthroughs, but please try not to disclose like flags or like the answers at the end, or try to be a little bit more meticulous with that." And
Hmm.
and I understand it. It's very silly to try to blur everything. You're not going to blur every IP or every directory name, or you know what I mean.
Right.
But like for the final flag, like the user flag, the root flag, yeah, people should blur those things because people are just going to copy and paste and yeah, whatever. So I've spent like 3 hours trying to blur every frame of the video that showed these flags, and it was
Right.
like and I missed one. I missed one
Hmm.
frame. There's one frame on the video that one guy in the comments found and said, "Oh, we can see it here," and I was like, "Damn it!"
Yeah. Yep.
and it's okay. It's like you said, it's okay. It doesn't really matter, but as long as you're doing your best, you just have to have that in mind. If you're doing your best and you're trying to learn, it doesn't really matter if you do any mistake. But it's hard to deal with it. It's hard. It's easier to
Yeah.
say than done.
Yeah. Yeah, there's been times where I've been like, "Oh, I want to showcase this tool or, write a blog about this or, do a short little video on,
Yeah,
whatever the topic may be." And they'll hit record or like start typing like 10 different times and then just delete the whole thing because, I
yeah,
messed up a single command or
yeah,
whatever it may be.
yeah,
And then I just kind of looked back and I was like, I just spent 3 hours trying to do this one thing.
yeah,
When if I was showing you in the room next to me, I could just show you. Like,
yeah,
let me just do it that way, kind of like an over the shoulder type thing,
yeah,
because it doesn't really matter. Um, the every take that you delete is just kind of wasted time. So just do it in one take,
sure.
just knowing that there's going to be errors.
That's very good advice. I'm that guy as well. If you were not here and I was doing this by myself, I would probably record this like 5 times. And I
Yeah.
understand that's a perfect waste of time.
Hmm.
And that's something that I struggle a lot with. But I'm getting better at it. As I said, I'm trying to make fun of my own mistakes. Um, done is better than what is the saying? What is the saying that like if
Um,
if you do it, it's better than having it perfect and not done or something like that. I don't know.
yeah, something along those lines.
Yeah, but you
Um,
know what I mean.
yeah, yeah.
So I'm trying to do the stuff and uploading it, um, and not worry too much about those things.
Yeah, there's always going to be those little errors, no matter like how long you spend trying to,
Yeah, and that's
blur every
life.
single frame.
Yeah, and that's
Yep,
life. That's life. Nothing's perfect.
yep, totally agree.